In this video, we are going to do a highly customizable custom inventory system that is material based, where you can adjust your slot sizes and tier counts. In this one, we have 5 tiers and you can add items and remove items using triggers. So let's continue with the tutorial. Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to show a custom inventory system which uses an interactive material as its base. But also this is, it's not just the inventory, of course, separate. It allows you to define the items in your game, and then on top of them, you can define how they're shown on the inventory. So let me show you how you use this device. So this is a circular inventory, meaning like we have slots laid out in a circular fashion. So you can decide how many slots you have on that circle. So in this one we are using 8. And you can decide on the slot size and also the text sizes on that slot. So tiers here are, or in other words, like the rarities, right? So common, uncommon, epic, stuff like that. So this allows you to define your own tiers, which in this example, we have 5 of them. So we have 5: common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. So for each of them, you are setting the color of that tier and also the circular texture that's going to be used with the material. So let me show you a little bit how it looks. So right now, so this one is just an example on, so think of it as the one slot. It's like a one leaf of that circular inventory. And this is how it looks when there is a weapon on it and the slot is selected. So when the slot is selected, it's vibrates like this. And obviously this is an epic one. It's purple. And so this is circle texture, basically the texture that is at the center of that like flower, right? And these are, the leaves. So these are actually not being used by the verse. So these are just basically examples, these materials. So how the generated texture will look. So the only material actually that's used with the verse code is this one. So this has a couple of like parameters, which has the background texture, which is this leaf, and then the item texture, and then a couple of variables to control, like is this selected, is this and what is the rotation of it, right? So depending of this value, this will have a different rotation. And so if it's selected, obviously it's going to put an outline on it, and it will also vibrated. So this is what this time node is for, right? And also has item variable, which will also enable to this item texture to be shown on top of this background. And of course, like you don't actually set up you don't create instances of the material. So these are just to, show you as an example. So the code just uses this material and the textures that you give to the code, and it will handle the creation and modification of the materials at runtime. So you don't actually need to do any other material setup. So yeah, we were talking about the text size. Obviously, this references player spawners. Then for the UI, the inventory UI, where you want to position it, we have variables exposed to you, the anchors and the alignment and the offset. For its size to not change, you would want these anchor values to be the same, the min and max. Then we have the empty slot circle. So when basically there's nothing, this will be used. Item granter and item remover. So this is empty slot texture. This is actually redundant. So we are doing a live fix. So let me delete that. As you can see, it's not giving any errors because man, that was not being used. We don't need that. Okay. And here you define the items, and this is what the granter and the remover is for. Basically, the granter and remover needs to, in the items in the list of these two devices must match the item order in here. So what we have is we just have 5 assault rifles, but they have different tiers. So common, uncommon, like rare, epic, and legendary, right? So that's why even though they have the same item name, they have the different tier indexes, which was defined in here in the item operation data. So this is something that you can again define per weapon type. Additionally, this you don't need to make this aligned with the item order here. You just fill in the item index, and then you can set up 2 triggers to add the item to the player or remove the item from the player, which is done through triggers, which we have our example triggers here. And then on item equip trigger and on item unequip trigger, which is these two are triggered by the verse device. And it's just if you want to listen to these events happening, then you can do that. So that's how you define some operations on the items. And we're using input triggers to show and hide the inventory, and also go to the next and previous item, in which they require register and they consume the input. Those are 2 important steps. They are all the same, but let me again show. So this is the prev item, and also the inventory show, hide, input trigger. Right. Let's look at the code then. Right, that's the only thing remaining. So additionally to setting up the device, setting up the fields on the device, because showing textures, showing like setting textures on materials that are filled on variables, since that's buggy, we need to, when filling in the material textures, we need to directly reference those assets. So that's why for these textures you need to basically if you have different asset paths for your textures, you need to set them here in these functions. And obviously, so we have the material asset path, so we have the empty selected texture and the empty unselected texture asset paths, which are this and this, right? And for the selected tier texture, unselected tier texture, so this is something you need to set per tier. So for our case here, we have 5 tiers, but if you happen to add your own tiers, you need to expand this case statement here. And again, with the item textures, you can see the assault weapon texture in here, and we didn't set it on the custom item data thing, right? Because again, this is going to be shown on the material. So this is set in an array. So probably, maybe you might not like add any other tiers, but you'll definitely add like bunch of more weapons. So all those weapons for all those weapons you need to set their textures here, and obviously this array needs to follow the order of items in here. This is all assault weapon because we just have the assault weapon item for the example. So it's also persistent, by the way, but yeah, you can toggle it on and off. So in the agent data, we are holding the the inventory items, the slot rotation. So this is this depends on how many slots you have on your inventory. So we seen all of that. So this is like for the operation data initialization. So we just subscribe to the device events, and in the case of adding an item, what we do is this is basically makes sure no other make sure it doesn't go overboard. And it calls the main device to update the UI and also equipped item, or in this case unequipped item, right? And we come to the main device. On begin again, like we're calling that initialization. We're subscribing to the events that we need to listen. On a spawn, we initialize the data of the player. When a player leaves, we just remove them from the agent map. So when the inventory UI input is pressed, if it's open, we're showing it. If it's like closed, we are like hiding it. And of course, we are also registering if you're like listening and unlistening to the like item next and previous inputs as well when the like inventory is like closed and open. And when we scroll to the next or the previous item, we set the current item index according to that, and we also update the UI, which involves also setting changing the parameter values of the materials, which will come to down here in update inventory canvas. So equip item and unequip item, it just fills in the array. And so this is not the this is just the data part. So this is not doing any inventory update. Load player data is just loads the data from the persistent map. And save player data, it will obviously save the data to the persistent map. The inventory root canvas, so this is the actual canvas is the sub canvas, and in here we just positioning it so that it's like easier to position it on the screen. And in the inventory canvas creation, we are putting our like slots. So for each leaf, we have like 3 items, right? So we have the I'm sorry. So these are the central stuff. So the texture at the center, the circle texture, and then the texts on it. So we have 2 texts that disable the that display the item name and the item rarity, which are these 2 textures. These 2 texts. And then for each leaf, for each slot, we are basically adding them to the canvas, which means which means we create like a material for each of them. You can see that we are getting the item texture and the background texture, and also we are calculating the rotation that's needed for the slot, and then we are also giving it to the material, and then filling it into the material block that allows us to show it on the UI. So this is if the item is like currently the selected item, which is, means that is selected as 1, has item as 1. This is when we have the item, but we don't have it selected. And when this is when we have it selected, but we don't have the item. This is just when the slot is empty, and this is when it is neither selected or we don't have the item. So this is just an empty slot that is not selected. Then we have the app update inventory canvas, so which just looks at the currently selected item index and updates it as basically selected, right? And that's actually it, right? Because a lot of the setup is actually done in the creation. So in here, only thing it needs to do is just, if it's a selected one, it is going to like set its values as selected or not. It'll just, set its properties as unselected. So, it will hide stuff, set the textures, set the text as like none and stuff like that. All right. Which is because what I meant is, most of the handling is done here because on updates we create the new version, which only requires the update of the like the current item selection. So that's just what we do, and the other stuff is already handled in here. All right. So let me scroll up slowly so that you can see all of it. So this device has I'd say a nice combination of both like materials and the code. Sometimes stuff is like too systematic and it's like code heavy, and sometimes it's materials heavy. I'd say in this one, I think it's like close, like it's like balanced. Both the material and the code does a really good job of making everything come together. Okay, all right. And yeah, as always, you already see in the code, you can just follow along and type it if you want, or if you want to just access the code file directly, or if you want to use our assets for this, you can check our Patreon in the description. All right, let's see how it works, right? All right, let me start the game. Okay. All right, I thought it would make it morning. I guess not. So you can see that, okay, this is because I was already testing. So we already have weapons here. And so in that way, actually, you also seen that the persistence is working. So let me just remove the weapons, and actually I can just even remove it when it's like open, and you can see it's like going, the slots are moving as I remove it, right? So I can add it again, and when I come to it, it's like it vibrates, and you can see the tier name and you can see the weapon name, right? Okay, I didn't want to do that. I want to add the other one and the other one and all of them, and I can just go on spam like this, and after my inventory is filled, nothing is going to happen. And if you watch closely, this also keeps your Fortnite inventory light, because if you look closely, I don't have anything in my Fortnite inventory unless I scroll into that weapon, right? So if I scroll into that weapon, I have the weapon, but if I don't, then I don't, right? And this basically allows you to, you can increase the slot size of this so that you're not limited by the slot size of the default inventory. But yeah, that's all. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share if you've enjoyed. And leave a comment on what tutorials you want to see next. Right. See you later.